For our first topic, I wanted to discuss what's been happening with Nikole Hannah-Jones. So Nikole Hannah-Jones is a Black woman, and she was recently denied tenure at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill's School of Journalism. That statement alone may sound mundane, but for those who do not know, Nikole Hannah-Jones is a Pulitzer Prize winner. She's a MacArthur Genius Grant winner. She serves as the Knight Chair in Race and Investigative Journalism at UNC, and she's the creator of the 1619 Project. So when Hannah-Jones went through the tenure process last summer, the dean of the School of Journalism, Susan King, says that Hannah-Jones submitted a package that was well reviewed as any had ever seen. It seemed like all was going to go smoothly until it reached the Board of Trustees. So now, not only is the former President Trump one of Hannah-Jones's critics, the Board of Trustees at UNC have denied her an opportunity at tenure. Instead of offering this highly credentialed academic this opportunity, the board of her alma mater offered her a fixed 5-year contract with the option of being renewed for tenure at the end of that period. There has been outrage and backlash to the university's decision. And a lot of that has centered around the 1619 Project. Mm-hmm. So, DJ, I'm curious about you. What are your thoughts on the 1619 Project and the pushback against it?
Well, I hadn't heard of the 1619 Project until this story.
Oh.
And maybe I did some research in the last few days, but maybe the audience still don't know what the 1619 Project is.
Okay. Well, the 1619 Project, it's an ongoing initiative from the New York Times Magazine. It began 2 August ago, August 2019, which also is the 400th anniversary of the beginning of American slavery. So the project aims to reframe the country's history by placing the consequences of slavery and the contributions of Black Americans at the very center of our national narrative. So the quick and dirty of it is it tells the truth from a critical race theory perspective of the actual history of often unacknowledged work of indigenous and enslaved people to the founding of this country. Welcome to episode 15 of Breaking It Down with DJ and Courtney.
Yes, another episode.
Another episode and a special episode because it's the last one in season 1. Mm-hmm. We are so glad that you are joining us either for the first time or a return listener. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. And regardless if you've listened to us before or this is your first time, welcome. We invite you to stay connected with us. So follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And you can also follow us on Facebook at Breaking It Down Podcast and Instagram at Breaking It Down Show. You really want to be sure that you're connected with us so that you can listen to us for season 2. But we're going to go ahead and get started with this episode. And we like to start each episode with a segment called What's Still Cooking. And it allows DJ and me a chance to highlight some things that we may have read, watched, seen, or experienced that are still lingering on our minds. So for me, what's still cooking is something we've talked about in a past episode. We've talked about Amazon before, and now they're in the news again because Jeff Bezos will be stepping down as a CEO on July 5th. Okay. The founder is one of the wealthiest persons on the planet, and he's going to be stepping down as chief executive. And Andy Jassy, who currently runs Amazon Web Services, will become the new chief executive. The change aligns with the anniversary of the incorporation date of Amazon, which was July 5th, 1994. So I just thought that was interesting. Apparently, they've been talking about it for a while now, but it's going to be happening next month. So, 2 months from now, but I thought that was really interesting. So what's the world's richest man going to be doing with his time now?
Yeah, I wonder, and maybe he's just going to be on the board of directors.
Yeah, he's going to be the chair executive of the board.
Okay. Well, I like to see how he changes. The new guy changes the way Amazon is ran.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there will be any changes. Yeah. So what's still cooking for you?
So what's still cooking for me? Sunday, May 23rd, the Billboard Music Awards premiered on NBC,
Mm.
and Billboard named Drake as the artist of the decade.
Oh,
You
wow.
know,
Really?
yes, I think
I missed that.
Mariah Carey was named, I think, before. Well, it's been some time since Mariah Carey was named, but that's what I remember. So Drake accepted the award with his 3-year-old son, Adonis Graham. Very cute little young man. As Drake ended his speech, the toddler began to be a bit overwhelmed by all the attention he was getting, and he started to cry, which was still a cute moment, you know.
Hmm.
It was actually a touching moment because it showed Drake as a father, not just as this flashy rapper.
So we got to see Daddy Drake,
You have to see Daddy Drake, you
which
know.
has a different context with a 3-year-old. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. And so you may be asking, who's Drake's baby's mother?
No, I actually am not thinking that at all.
I knew that you would say that. And so Sophie Brossix, a former model born and raised in France, is the answer to that question.
Mm.
And she's now a successful painter. She's paid even for the Vatican.
Oh, wow.
The two met early 2017 while visiting Amsterdam among a group of fans. Initially, Drake did have some reservations about including Adonis in his life, but obviously Jake has decided to invite the youngster into his life. So that's wonderful.
Hooray for Black fathers.
Yes, yes. And to me, it encouraged me when I see that on stage in front of the mainstream media to see that. So that's a great thing.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else still cooking for you?
Just want to say again, like you said earlier, thank you for being a listener. Thank you for getting through season 1 with us. And definitely return for season 2 because we're going to knock your socks off.
All right. Well, let's get into the show.
Yeah.
For our first topic, I wanted to discuss what's been happening with Nikole Hannah-Jones. So Nikole Hannah-Jones is a Black woman, and she was recently denied tenure at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill's School of Journalism. That statement alone may sound mundane, but for those who do not know, Nikole Hannah-Jones is a Pulitzer Prize winner. She's a MacArthur Genius Grant winner. She serves as the Knight Chair in Race and Investigative Journalism at UNC, and she's the creator of the 1619 Project. So when Hannah-Jones went through the tenure process last summer, the dean of the School of Journalism, Susan King, says that Hannah-Jones submitted a package that was well reviewed as any had ever seen. It seemed like all was going to go smoothly until it reached the Board of Trustees. So now, not only is the former President Trump one of Hannah-Jones's critics, the Board of Trustees at UNC have denied her an opportunity at tenure. Instead of offering this highly credentialed academic this opportunity, the board of her alma mater offered her a fixed 5-year contract with the option of being renewed for tenure at the end of that period. There has been outrage and backlash to the university's decision. And a lot of that has centered around the 1619 Project.
Mm-hmm.
So, DJ, I'm curious about you. What are your thoughts on the 1619 Project and the pushback against it?
Well, I hadn't heard of the 1619 Project until this story.
Oh.
And maybe I did some research in the last few days,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe the audience still don't know what the 1619 Project is.
Okay. Well, the 1619 Project, it's an ongoing initiative from the New York Times Magazine. It began 2 August ago, August 2019, which also is the 400th anniversary of the beginning of American slavery. So the project aims to reframe the country's history by placing the consequences of slavery and the contributions of Black Americans at the very center of our national narrative. So the quick and dirty of it is it tells the truth from a critical race theory perspective of the actual history of often unacknowledged work of indigenous and enslaved people to the founding of this country. And so when it came out, there was a lot of controversy around it. And, in August 2019, who was our president? President Trump. He was vehemently against the work. And he even commissioned the 1776 report, which tries to combat the work of the 1619 Project by insisting the country's history begins in 1776. Republican leaders even sought to deny funding to schools that want to use the 1619 Project as a teaching resource. And so she's being denied tenure as a shadow of that pushback against the 1619 Project.
It's coming to hunt her.
Say that again?
I said it's coming to hunt her in a way.
Yeah, it's coming to haunt her because conservatives don't want to face the truth about the history of this country.
So true, so true. So, one thing you mentioned was tenure. And I've heard the word before, and I know it's one of the things that professors seek that's very, very important. But I wanted to know, well, why is it so important? Why is it so valuable?
Well, tenure is pretty much just job security. It means that you are ensured a job. It's no different than like congressional tenure or things like that. But it also gives access to power. When people are tenured, they have more freedom within the university, more access to resources, and I'm certain that other academics with far less credentials than Nikole Hannah-Jones have received tenure. And actually, the dean of the school, she mentioned that most people who have that chair that she has, that Nikole Hannah-Jones has, the Knight Chair in Race and Investigative Journalism, since the school has been working with them in the 80s, everyone who's gotten that position has received tenure. And so this conversation really does bring up like discrimination in
systemic racism,
right, within higher education.
Right. And now I began looking at tenure, and they offer her 5 years, and 5 years versus forever is a big deal, and so it is very, very suspicious. So this is clearly discrimination because I'm sure many of her white, like as you said earlier, her white counterparts who have been less decorated than she has, but she's been denied tenure. So as a career coach, because I'm a career coach, reach out to me if you need some career coaching. But it made it clear to me that discrimination is real in the workforce. And this is something that me and my clients always discuss, especially my African-American clients, about the not having the support system there where they're working. And it's such an asset to develop that in the organization that you work, because you're going to need that support system to see you as an asset and to be the ones who help you sort of get upward mobility within that organization.
Yeah. Clearly in establishments where there is discrimination, a support system is necessary. And, I've got several friends who are finishing, their dissertations, and friends who have been working in academia. And I've just been curious, especially with this story, of what do Black academics have to protect themselves against discrimination from tenured opportunities? What support system do they have? And I also feel like this happening at this moment, and this happening to Hannah-Jones, who's the creator of the 1619 Project, at this moment in history, is a turning point. Because I feel like this is a time that perhaps we get to strategize. Maybe we get to divest from PWIs and shift into investing into HBCUs,
And PWIs means what?
The primarily white institutions.
Oh, okay.
So, I think that as a strategy to sort of take power away from what PWIs have meant to academia, so like the Harvards and the Princetons and all of that, they're going to be themselves. But And right now, I feel like there's this push for all of these PWIs to do diversity and equity and inclusion work, right? But if we, as people of color, and specifically Black academics, were to divest and bring all of our power, all of our knowledge, all of that specifically to HBCUs, what could that mean? Like, I feel like it would force the hand of PWIs to change their approach to discrimination. I mean, and a couple of reasons why I'm saying that is the 1619 Project in itself. That type of work is great. And HBCUs can lend to that type of knowledge creation. Additionally, we have someone in the White House that graduated from an HBCU. And then there's like a bipartisan bill that is being presented to invest in HBCUs. So like this is a time where HBCUs could really change the game.
Yeah, I was so happy when you had told me that Vice President Kamala Harris is a graduate from a HBCU. So that makes me proud. And the reason why, because when I was in high school and around 11th, 12th grade, everyone's talking about which college were they going to go to, or get accepted to, or they're going to try to get accepted to. And for all the Black kids, getting accepted to a HBCU was a big deal. So I knew all the excitement around it, that it was something that was really, really wanted. There was like a reward if you could get into one of the best HBCUs. And I think that since Vice President Kamala, Kamala, I don't know why I want to call her Kamala, but it's Kamala. I want to get
like she says it's comma plus la, comma la.
Yeah, I try to say Kamala, but it sounds so awkward. But anyway, I want to get it right. I have plenty of time in her next 8 years. But the whole point is that her being the vice president of the United States and her having that HBCU stamp, I think it makes HBCUs more powerful and more mainstream, so that when people see your name, see that you're from a historically Black college university, they're like, okay, this person we need to hire.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I think that at this point in time, we've seen that HBCUs are getting more presence in mainstream media. There was that, I think it was Google that did the ad that was using like the HBCU homecoming experience in their advertisement. Beyonce had Homecoming on Netflix. Howard University just named their, I think it's their theater school after Chadwick Boseman, and they appointed Felicia Rashad as the dean.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So, like there's more prestige, not that it wasn't there, but like it's being brought to the spotlight.
Right.
So I just, and I understand that PWIs have had a longer history. They've had more access to resources.
They had a head start, a big one.
Right, exactly. A lot of it using slave labor, and which you can read about in 1619 Project, right? But I just feel like this could be a critical moment where the academic world has shifted its access, where HBCUs may have more ability to grow their resources, so that a Black academic can consider an HBCU as more than a stepping stone on their academic trajectory and their professional history, and it can be seen as a place that can take them just as far as a PWI. I don't know, I know that it's not the responsibility of Black academics to end the discrimination in higher education, but I just think that this moment happening right now is a time where a radical change could happen, and the experience of Black academics could be changed forever.
So, what's your breakdown?
That was my breakdown.
Okay, all right.
So what's your breakdown?
So I see this as another attempt to slowly eradicate another brilliant and talented Black woman by a system that's racist, and a system that seeks to punish anyone who decides to step up or step out of the societal frame and the narrative that seeks to disvalue, dishonor, and disgrace them. Because she was disgraced by this action. African Americans and abolitionists fought to make the ideas of Thomas Jefferson so brilliantly, who wrote the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. It says, "No, we hold all these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." The difference is almost 250 years after those words were written by Thomas Jefferson, African Americans are still having to fight for those words to bring them to a reality. So that's crazy. as Joy Ann Reed stated, universities should be the last place, as you said earlier, where people are denied mobility based on right-wing sensitivities. This is what this is about.
Absolutely.
Them being uncomfortable with the ugly truths and the myth, but the ugly truths that are real within the history of the U.S.
Mm-hmm. You really think Thomas Jefferson wrote that, or was that Sally Hemings? You don't have
a slave in the back who was saying that,
That was
like you finished that. Leroy, you finished that. The question finished it.
All right.
To it, boss.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's keep it moving. So DJ, for the Make You Laugh section, I actually have some questions for you because I was really smart this year and decided to vacate the DMV for a couple of weeks. So I don't really know, how is the cicada storm going for you?
I have, what? They don't get down here to where I'm at in Virginia.
So you haven't seen any?
I haven't seen any down here in Virginia where I'm at, and I'm live like maybe 35 minutes from Washington D.C., south of Washington D.C., and I haven't seen not one cicada.
Wow. Well, I thought that they come as far south as Georgia. I thought so. That's crazy that you don't see them, but that's good. But I know I've been on phone conversations with people in Maryland, and I'm like, if there's like a pause in the conversation, I'm like, are those cicadas? Like on the phone. It's so loud. But I was like, before they got crazy, I'm like, get me out of here. Because I remember them 14 years ago or 17 years ago, however many it was.
17. It
was 17. So 17 years ago, I remember them. But today's Make You Laugh section includes them again. So Manu Raju, who's a CNN journalist, shared this, or last week, a video on Twitter of his reaction during one of his segments to a cicada crawling on his neck. Oh my gosh. You can go to CNN.com and look it up, and I'll also put the link in the show notes. He seemed pretty shocked about it, and then he started yelling, and he was like, oh my God, and he starts cursing. And then he later talked about it on another show about like why he responded in that way. And apparently right before that happened, one of the producers had told him that a cicada had jumped out of his pocket, and he was like, it was on the ground. So I guess he was really like triggered when he felt the cicada crawling on his neck. It's gone viral right now, that video, and it's pretty funny. It's really short, but it's really funny because it's a genuine reaction. Because the thing, you can actually see the cicadas start crawling from here and go to his neck. And while he was, totally grossed out, apparently he has twins, they love cicadas. So they thought the video was really cute.
They are the ugliest things ever.
They really are. And I think they came out a little bit later this year. But I'm really hoping that by the time I get back to DC that they're all gone. I don't want to deal with them at all.
Yeah, the plague is gone.
Yeah.
So for our second main topic, so as COVID restrictions loosen, the debate over vaccine passports have intensified. And actually, when I say the COVID-19 passport, it really is the COVID-19 vaccination record card. But, of course, politics has to make it to something real quick and snappy. So they're calling it the COVID-19 passport. And it really is, because it's turning out to get you in or get you out of organizations or venues. So since you've been vaccinated, because I know that you've been vaccinated, Courtney, and has anyone asked to see your COVID-19 vaccination record card or your vaccination passport to gain
No, and I've even been on a flight, but no one has asked me to see it. The only place it was asked for was at Krispy Kreme to get that free donut. No one has ever asked me to see my vaccination card.
Oh, wow. Even on the airplane. That's interesting.
Yeah, even on the airplane. So, do you even plan to get vaccinated?
I do plan to get vaccinated, and definitely now that I get free donuts with that vaccination.
I would warn you, Krispy Kreme is dangerous. It's not worth the risk.
It's definitely dangerous. But pollen, I have a very strong allergic reaction to pollen, and
Hmm.
I'm afraid that I've heard people tell me that when you get that shot, the first one or the second one, you're going to experience some symptoms. So right now, because my head is still quite stuffy, I'm going to just hold off until I can get past this sort of allergic reaction thing to the pollen and to cicadas before I get my shot. So as of Monday, the U.S. has was is probably increased by now, but this was pulled last Monday, and almost 50% of the population in the United States have been fully vaccinated.
That's good.
And according to the U.S. Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention, so that means that about 128 .7 million adults in the U.S. have been fully vaccinated, and President Joe Biden, he wants 160 million to be vaccinated by July 4th. So looks like we are definitely headed to have that many people vaccinated.
Hmm.
But as gyms, theaters, and airplanes are starting new rules, and obviously for the airplane, the airline that you on, it was like, hey, come on, get on the airplane. We're not really concerned about these passports, but it's still unclear exactly how they are going to start verifying about will these passports be mandated or not. Because the thing about it is we have a concern about privacy and sacrificing that privacy. Showing someone your vaccination passport could be a sort of intrusive.
Hmm.
So the federal government is not pursuing a standard vaccine certificate but so it's they're sort of leaving it up to the states to decide how will they determine this controversial issue.
Right.
So governors and lawmakers in 10 Republican-led states that have already banned or limited vaccine passports to include Florida. Oh, ding, 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 ding. Somebody's in Florida right now. Um, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said earlier this month during a press conference, we're not going to, and that could be the reason why they didn't ask you, because he's saying that he does not want people to start asking for vaccination passports. He's totally against that. So that may be the reason right there why.
But I still
Um,
flew from DC. So I got on the
yeah.
plane in DC. So
Well, maybe like, we know you're going to Florida, so there's no need to ask her. So, but I did want to ask you though, because it seems to me that deciding to wear a mask or not wearing a mask is sort of some way of this indicating your political stance or your political belief, or it labels what political party that you support. Do you feel like that does?
no, I don't think that's true. I'm not sure that that's true. Uh, I think even people on the far left and the moderate to moderate to far right are okay not wearing masks. I don't necessarily think that it determines like if you are a Democrat or Republican or independent or whatever. I really don't. And like I know I'm in Florida and I know what the governor has said, but I was recently in an establishment where that was pretty liberal, like in the mindset. It was a kava bar. It definitely felt like there were perhaps far left. I'm not sure, but
Mm-hmm.
there were. I didn't see any Trump stickers on
Supporters.
the, or anywhere like that. It was definitely a place where I felt safe and
Hmm. Hmm.
all that. But
Hmm.
no one had a mask on. No one.
Wow.
No one
Wow.
working there. No one that was in the establishment had a mask on. So I don't necessarily think that the choice to wear a mask. I would definitely say that that might be different in a more metropolitan area
Hmm.
where there are more people and so there's more risk. I
Hmm.
think that it's generally been true that people who've been vaccinated are also more willing to wear a mask
Hmm.
because most likely the choice to be vaccinated is the choice to protect your own health and protect the health of others. And wearing a
Hmm.
mask does that. So,
Hmm.
but I don't necessarily think that it's about politics. Um,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then you mentioned something else that I also thought that was not necessarily on it, but I've forgotten already. Dang it.
Okay, well, just what about the political arena, sort of wearing masks and not wearing masks is sort of indicating what political party you are affiliated with. I think is it seems like it's I wouldn't say I agree with you on what you're saying, but there's the other side to the political divide. So Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York,
Cuomo.
Cuomo,
Cuomo.
I'm just bad with these
Cuomo.
names. Cuomo.
Yeah, it's like with the Q. Cuomo.
Cuomo. Okay. Good old Governor Andrew plan to safely resume normal activities, from concert to cruise ships and sporting events. Um, so he has a definitely different perspective than the governor in Florida. He's
Hmm.
definitely wants to open things back up again, and he definitely wants to uh use vaccine passports for people to enter those venues.
Hmm.
And again, some do feel that that's you're impinging on my rights. I shouldn't have to show you anything to show you my state of health, or my me getting this shot or not, in order to gain entry to anything.
Hmm. I remember
uh
what I wanted to say now, and it's
okay,
related
okay,
to that. But I'll say
okay.
it. I'll say it in a minute. Go ahead.
And so yeah, that's definitely what I wanted to say. Go ahead. What you going to say?
Um, no, continue. Continue.
So, do you think mandating each citizen to show proof of vaccination is reasonable, or do you think that the vaccination honor system will work?
So, let me start with prefacing what I was going to say,
Okay.
because I don't think that showing a vaccination card is an invasion of privacy. I
Okay.
don't know if you've ever traveled internationally, but I have.
I have.
And there's certain places where they have life-threatening illnesses that
Right.
have vaccinations against. And in order to enter the country, you have to have the vaccination. And you
Right.
also have to prove that you have the vaccination. I don't think that this is any different than that. I don't think it's any different than that. And I think that, to answer your question, the way that people are responding to all of this, the way that our former president made this such a political thing when it's
Mm-hmm.
not, is the reason why an honor system won't work. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and I'm not saying this to say that people need to show their vaccination card, but what I'm saying is that it's not uncommon to have to receive a vaccination and then prove it. To enter the
Mm-hmm.
school system and to go to college, you have to receive certain vaccines, and you have to send proof to the institution. So if these things weren't problems before, why are they now? And I
Mm-hmm.
think the general response to fighting COVID in the United States has been so piss poor, that of course an honor system won't work.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are certain situations where it's important that people are vaccinated, and and if in those situations it may be necessary to show proof of vaccination.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that this whole thing, especially in the United States, just shows how we don't value community,
Oh
right?
no, we don't.
We don't. So how could we trust that an honor system would work when people don't give a shit about other people? So, like, why would I believe that, okay, you're not wearing a mask, so that must mean you're vaccinated? No, you need to show and prove, because I don't trust you, MFers, because y'all made this whole thing, this crazy thing, when it could have just been, oh my gosh, we're experiencing a global pandemic. We live in a global society. Let's do
Mm.
everything that we can to make sure that everyone is safe.
Right.
It's
Right.
as simple as that.
I totally agree with you. That people will not say the truth because they just want to get in. you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
but vetting people to see if they are COVID-19 vaccinated does seem to be there's some things that are issues that are running into that, in terms of people. There's some apps out there that does it, and those apps are not necessarily technologically secure, And then also people do feel that it's, of course, like we said earlier, it's invasion of privacy, and they feel that those papers, those passports, can be easily forged,
Hmm.
so manipulated in minutes. So it's some issues going on even with just being able to show that you've gotten the shot and being sure that this person is not lying, that this actually is legitimate paperwork.
Right, right. No, I hear the concern, and I think we're about to wrap up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and give my breakdown. I hear the concern about documents being forged and technology not being secure or whatever, but really there is not, like I said, there are other vaccinations that are required. And there has not been a security issue around that. So to bring up a security issue around COVID, in my mind, is bullshit.
Hmm.
I also think that this just points out how behind the United States is in using all of the resources that we have to create secure technology in this way. We do all of these things for security when it comes to making sure that it's a valid vote, right? And when I was standing in line for the plane, in order to board a plane very soon, you're going to have a certain ID. You have to have a real ID, right? To make sure that it's not forged. So if we have the technology to do certain things that are also secure, I don't know why it can't be transferred to a COVID vaccination card or whatever. It's and is the risk that hard? And again, I really think that the problem that we're having around this, it's not about security. It's not about identity theft. It's not about that at all. It's about the fact that the response to a global pandemic was made political instead of what it was, a global health crisis. And if we could actually step back and take out, well, actually, if we're going to be true to ourselves and true to this podcast, what we have to do is go back to the foundation of this country and take out the racism, take out the capitalism, and we can actually have honest conversations about what it means to be community, what it means to be unified. And we won't have these types of problems and these BS conversations that aren't about what they really are. So that's my breakdown. It's BS. And the real issue is that millions of people died from this virus, and we should all be doing everything that we can to make sure that millions more don't.
Yeah, I think it's sad that the U.S. has sort of turned this into a political issue when it's really a health issue. And seeking medical attention is sad. And I feel this is true. I feel that it's sad that seeking medical attention provides some purview into your political affiliation. I think I think at some level it is true for some who are just saying, I'm not getting vaccinated because I am a Republican. And I also, as you were saying, that public politicians have used COVID-19 as leverage instead of being more concerned about the health of the citizens. I think it's saddening, but it's not surprising.
Right. Absolutely.
So we have arrived to our inspiration segment in our quest to inform, inspire, and humor you. So, Courtney, if you found $1 million, $1 million winning lottery ticket,
Yes,
would you
Lord.
return it?
Would I return it?
Yeah, would you return it?
If I found it, where would I return it to? Last weekend, I follow this account, the Blairisms. Shout out to Blair and Brandon. And I posted it to my Instagram stories because they posted this post. Dear God, please let me find $80,000 on the floor today. So, if I found it, that's God's blessing to me. Absolutely not.
Well, someone did find $1 million winning lottery ticket.
Oh,
and guess what? So
what'd they do?
Well, they returned it. So this happened in Massachusetts when a convenience store owner, his son, found $1 million lottery ticket in the trash after a customer accidentally threw it away.
Oh, wow.
The customer didn't realize it was a winning ticket, and her name was Lee Rose Faega. She purchased a scratch off from the Lucky Stop Convenient Mart, Lucky Stop Convenient Mart, which she would frequently. So she said that she was in a hurry. She was on lunch break. She scratched it off. She looked at it really quickly. She didn't think it was a winning ticket, so she threw it in the trash. So a few days later, when the son, he's sort of not doing his job like he's supposed to. 10 days later, he took him taking the garbage out, and like 10 days later, he took the garbage out.
I hope they don't sell food.
And he said that he noticed that one of the scratch offs was not all of them were all scratched off. So he removed it from the trash, scratched it off, and saw that it was actually $1 million lottery ticket. So Abhi wasn't even sure if he should return the ticket. He couldn't sleep for 2 nights because he was trying to deliberate on should he return it or, because I think he knew at this particular point who it was.
Oh, wow.
The person it was. So he called his grandparents back in India and asked his grandmother, "Do you think I should give this should I give this ticket back to the person that I know it belongs to?" And his grandparents said, "Please, you do not want this money. Give the ticket back to the person who it belongs to." So that made up his mind. The lady Lee, when she finally, she visited the store frequently. When she finally came back again to get maybe a Krispy Kreme donut.
You better hope they do not sell food if it takes him 10 days to take out the trash.
And he handed her the ticket, and she said that her knees buckled and she fell to the floor and she just began to cry like a baby.
I bet. Well, that's different, DJ. He knew who it belonged to.
Yeah, because he knew. I know. I'm not sure the connection between. Maybe I don't know how he knew that in the trash this woman's ticket was there. I'm not sure the connection between that, but somehow he knew. Maybe the receipt was there. Maybe
security cameras or something.
Maybe the security camera or something. And but he still was able to walk away with some money because the store would not walk away empty-handed because the lottery would pay them $10,000 as a bonus because she purchased the lottery ticket from that store. So they will get something in the long run. So
that's good.
Yeah. So
well, what would you do if you found $1 million on the ground?
If I didn't know who it was, I wouldn't be saying anything. I'd be like, this is going in my pocket.
That's right.
But I would have to say if I knew who it belonged to, I definitely would. Now the question is, do you like the person or not? Was she a bad customer or a good customer? Now she was a good customer. Now she would have been a bad customer. I think he wouldn't have thought twice about that. So that's what I think. Wow. But I'd be $1 million richer right now. Hey, we'll already have our show on New York Times and on NPR. Okay. So for our announcements. So you don't always do announcements in this show, and I think hopefully we have more announcements in season 2. But I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for listening to our show. I'm so appreciative. Regardless if you listen to it on YouTube or Apple or Google or podcast or wherever you listen to our show, I would love to invite you to stay in tune with us while we take our little hiatus, by visiting our social media, of course, breaking it down on social media, but also join us on our personal social media as well, because we do the updates there as well, so you can see how we live our life. And we'll leave those links in our description so that you can stay connected with us as we take our hiatus and get to know us better and come back here for season 2.
Yeah, I echo what DJ says. Thank you all so much for listening to us and submitting show ideas and sharing our videos and, letting us know how much you enjoy the time that DJ and I are having. So, we look forward to doing more of this. And like DJ said, stay connected to us so that you know when we will be back for season 2.
Yes. So, you can email us at breakingitdownshow@gmail.com. I think I was supposed to say that, or you were supposed to say that, but it's breakingitdownshow@gmail.com is where you can email us. And again, I said we'll have our personal information in the description as well, so that you can visit our Facebook or Instagram accounts.
That's right. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in a while.
See you in season 2, baby.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Breaking It Down with DJ and Courtney is edited and produced by Designs by Courtney H. Music produced by Courtney Hinton.
Thank you for viewing.
Please hit the subscribe button and thumbs up this video.
Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode.
Thanks for watching.